tonight. It's all praise for the Black Stars and their coach, Chris Hilton, as Ghana claimed 1-0 win over Angola in the Group A AFCON qualifier at the failed Babayara Sports Stadium. Is this the beginning of bringing back the love after the World Cup? Stay with us. We'll talk about that. Also, there's a major opposition to attempts by government to pass a new tax bill aimed at raising 4 billion cedis. Tonight, we hear the concerns of the minority in parliament, industry, labor, and the ordinary Ghanaian about these 3 new tax bills. Stay with us. Meanwhile, the fate of President Kufuor's new ministerial nominees hang in the balance as Parliament pushes the approval or otherwise to tomorrow. What will be the dynamics in terms of numbers? Stay with us. There's a lot coming up here on Ghana Tonight. Let's hear from you, especially concerns about these new taxes, the proposed amendments to some tax elements, and then the new ones as well that government intends to rake in some revenue from, and its attendant impact on you and I. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter as always. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs. Ghana claimed a 1-0 win over Angola in their Group E match at the Babayara Stadium. The narrow victory saw the Black Stars open a 3-point lead at the top of the group standings, while the Palancas Negras are placed third on the table with 3 matches left. The minority in Parliament says it has shown no bad faith in the consideration of the 3 revenue bills government is seeking approval to rake in some 4 billion cedis before getting the IMF deal. Even though the Finance Committee, by consensus, approved the report, the entire minority remain averse to its passage. Host Central Member of Parliament and Member of the Committee, Benjamin Kodo, tells TV3 the minority's position is based on principle.
These bills, if you go into them, you will see that they are amending existing laws, which have imposed certain taxes on the citizens of Ghana. Now, in the heat of these difficulties that we have, these bills, when passed, will escalate the suffering of Ghanaians. That is why, upon hindsight, we think that they should not go through.
Players within the oil and gas industry are opposed to government's new tax proposals aimed at raking in additional revenue for the state. Government, through the Finance Ministry, is seeking to charge 1% of the gross production of oil companies, as well as 5% of their profit before tax. CEO of the Upstream Petroleum Chamber, David Ampofo, says the new tax measures could ultimately undermine the gains made in the industry and slow investments into the country.
I understand the government has to, but the truth is that the industry is really, in many respects, going through a very difficult period. So at a time like this, when you begin to introduce additional taxes, you just put off potential investors. As I just said to you, you're not getting any anyways. And then the ones you have here, you further burden. So we need to be careful with that.
Former Finance Minister Setekpe believes Ghana is nowhere close to reaching a deal with the International Monetary Fund following weeks of protracted negotiations with external creditors. In an interview with 3 Business, he said Ghana's absence on the March calendar of the IMF means the program will further delay, which may lead to an economic crunch due to the country's unsustainable debt levels.
to the extent that we have not, reached, that agreement, which is like a prior action, and the tax issues that are in Parliament and other expenditure programs, then it means that the possibility of a delay. So the earlier, we get the IMF resources complemented by the World Bank and others, the better it will be for the economy. Otherwise, the economy might be leading towards a crash.
NDC flag bearer hopeful Dr. Kwabena Dufour has promised to restore hope and national pride in the Ghanaian people and economy in 2025 when the NDC recaptures power from the NPP. According to the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, the Akufo-Addo-led government has mismanaged the economy, leading to its total collapse, noting that an NDC government will employ domestic revenue mobilization to revive the economy. He gave the assurance after he filed his nomination forms to contest the flag-bearer race of the NDC in Accra.
We are going to focus on domestic resource mobilization to move this country forward. Don't lose hope. There is hope for Ghana. 2024, we are going to kick the elephant into the bush.
These bills, if you go into them, you will see that they are amending existing laws which have imposed certain taxes on the citizens of Ghana. Now, in the heat of these difficulties that we have, these bills, when passed, will escalate the suffering of Ghanaians.
That's the MP for Ho. So, in fact, that point he ended on, that if these new, well, that's all, amended tax bills, which is before Parliament for consideration, are approved, is going to increase the hardship of the Ghanaian people. And here's the reason why. Even though these amendments are supposed to rake in or expected some revenue increase, it is also a precondition for the IMF program, the deal that we intend to get from the IMF. We've seen the 2.5% increase in the VAT, which was approved by Parliament in the latter part of last year. Now, these bills, the revenue bills, if eventually approved, which minority have stated their position that because of the impact it would have on you and I, the cost of living, they are opposed to it. Because this is going to lead to an increase in the cost of doing business. And as businessmen and women in this country, they are in for profit. They'll find a way of sharing the cost with us. And guess what? The money that you have in your pocket is not going up. It's actually reducing in value. And this is also going to lead to a further increase. So that's the fundamental concern that you and I must be also looking at. But this is the projected revenue that government intends to rake in from these two amended tax bills, and then the new one that has been rebranded, sort of. The excise duty amendment bill, the projected revenue is about 400 million cedis annually. The growth and stability bill, the projected annual revenue government intends to rake in, if it is approved by Parliament, is 2.2 billion annually. Income tax amendment bill, 1.2 billion annually. That's what they projected to rake in if this is approved by Parliament. But question is, while government seeks to tick the boxes with this IMF deal, can they also balance it with the concern of how this would impact on the Ghanaian people, so that you go through the surgery, but the patient would have died in the end, because we can't tax our way out of this. But take a look at this. These are already the tax increases that industry is dealing with since the beginning of the year. Water tariffs went up by 80% for industry, and commercial and bottled water and drinks went up by 172%. Electricity for industry went up by 65%. So that's what we're dealing with. And take a look at this as well. The local manufacturers, these are the list of the taxes and tariffs that they have to deal with. Import duty, 5%. Import VAT, 15%. Processing fee, you don't have anything there from the list that we got from the Importers and Exporters Association. ECOWAS levy, 0.5%. Network charge VAT, 0.4%. Network charge COVID-19 levy, that the 1% COVID-19 levy is there. The Ghana Shippers Authority SNF fee. Then you have import NHIL, 2.5%. Network charge NHIL, 2.5%. IRS tax deposit, 1%. Then there's special import levy, 2%. Ghana Exim levy, 0.75%. Then there's Get Fund as well. So local manufacturers are paying all this. It's about 17 different taxes that local manufacturers have to pay. And guess what? And they're paying this. When you go on the market, you complain why locally manufactured or produced items are expensive as against the ones that we import into the country. The cheaper alternatives imported from China and those other places where cost of production is so low. This is it. They are dealing with a lot of taxes, 17 of them. And they are not alone in this. We have as well the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana as well, who are also dealing with their own list of taxes. We counted about 19 of them. Take a look at this. The local manufacturers, there are more. In fact, they are dealing with network charge Get Fund levy. They have inspection fee, AU import levy, COVID-19 health recovery levy is there. And remember, some of these taxes are indexed in dollars as well. These are the importers and exporters taxes. Import duty is there, import VAT is there, processing fee is there, ECOWAS levy, vehicle examination fee, network charge VAT. They also are dealing with network charge COVID-19 health levy, Ghana Shippers Authority SNF fee, import NHIL, network charge NHIL, IRS. Look, plenty of them. That's what you see there. All these are the taxes importers and exporters are dealing with, right? And you have all these, and that's why they also raise concerns about the impact this would have on their businesses and the cost of doing business. Guess what? Tonight, we have all of them joining us to tell us the real impact that if these tax bills are approved would have on them and how they're going to pass it on to us, you and I, to also deal with. So we must all be concerned. It's beyond the figures and analysis. Go into the real life experiences that these tax bills will bring on us. We'll talk about it. Well, we got a video from the Director General of Public Affairs of the Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier General Eric Agrikwashi, said to have indicated that his men have been applauded by a section of the public for their operation in Ashaman a few weeks ago after the killing of one of their own, one soldier. In fact, he said that there have been several calls to his outfit to thank them for the operation. I don't want to go too much into it, but you take a look at this.
Let's take Ashaman. Well, that is what is trending, maybe for the wrong reasons. But whatever happened in Ashaman was not something somebody woke up one morning and said, let's go to Ashaman. No. So many things are taking place, and our soldier dying became like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Ashaman is a place, there are certain sections that even the police cannot go and effect arrest. They won't dare. Somebody commits a crime and you can't go there to even arrest the person. And so we're tracking certain events.
The number of calls that I've received and the institution has received, thanking us for the actions in Ashaman. You see, but people are asking that, oh, General, so why would you do that again? Because if you live within that enclave and at a certain time of the day, you couldn't go to certain areas, and these things happen, you appreciate. Funny thing is, I saw even the pictures that people saw. were pictures taken by soldiers and posted on their Facebook and WhatsApp pages. There is not a media personnel who even got those things, and it's something we are dealing with.
For the security services, we are looking at the national security posture of the situation. But some of our actions are not things that are planned. Unfortunately, the Ashaman incident, there were a lot of excesses. We saw it ourselves. But if I have asked a soldier to go and do something, and he goes beyond, I can't come and stand in the public and chastise that soldier. Tomorrow I won't get him to do anything at all. So I have to take the bashing. And that is why when everybody was bashing, I kept quiet. Because we ourselves were complaining that some of the things they were doing was just too much. But in the public space, there is nobody who will come and condemn the person he has asked to go and do something. Even if he has done something wrong, we'll find a way of dealing with him. Other than that, you won't get him doing anything again. For me to say something is regrettable, it means that I'm not happy with it. And so, you see, we are dealing with two publics here. The military public is there, and then the civil public is also there.
Remember, the actions of the military is a subject of investigation. So we wait to see what the outcome will be. This is Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. We will be back shortly. There's a lot more on this after this quick break. We're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Win your share of over 3 million Ghana cedis worth of prizes whenever you buy a bottle of Guinness, Star, or Origin. Dial *1000# to submit the code under the crown, and you can win cash, free airtime, and drinks. So look sharp. This advert is FDA approved. Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years. Not recommended for pregnant women.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me kwan point no mo hwe me modam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra me enu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba and everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante. That's end point for you. Ofa Roberto, hello. Hey, ohwehwe what che? Okay, a free bra wo di end point what dance am me ko ye no me just sema na enkoyie en person na my nyina na magina sebema na me be for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
She's the bubbly one. She brings the fun to the show all the time. She oozes energy and class and makes the show tick.
Hi, welcome to Ghana's best TV morning show, The New Day, right here on TV3.
He's a tough nut. He is Mr. Accountability. He keeps the powers that be on their toes, asking the tough questions.
Here, we interrogate the facts and dissect the critical issues.
But oh, he knows how to get down. She is a queen of social issues. She is great personified. She is witty and entertaining.
And every morning, we help you start your day the best possible way.
And together, they serve you a completely enthralling offering of the best mix of news, current affairs, entertainment, health, sports, every morning on your award-winning morning show, New Day, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday. New Day, wake up, feel the sunshine. New Day is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water.
No matter where,
The capital is always tuned in their offices.
you have to say it before, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. In their retail centers.
Even in their busy marketplaces.
Or should it have some kind of like what? And in their cars.
Even in their homes and in their rooms, they listen. The capital is always tuned in.
Yes, we run the city here on 3FM 92.7.
Your Urban Lifestyle Radio.
Join Giovanni and AJ Sapon on 3FM Drive 92.7 Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We run the city on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. And we're very interactive on this. A number of you indeed sharing with us your reactions to the list of taxes that we run through. As we go on in the conversation, we'll slap them on the screen so you follow quite closely the number of taxes both importers and exporters have to pay, and then also the local manufacturers who are part of the Association of Ghana Industries also have to pay. Reverend John Awuni is chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. He's joining us in the studio. Reverend John Awuni, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Most welcome.
Great. Also, Samson Asaki Awingobit is the executive secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Is going to be joining us on Zoom shortly. We'll also be joined by a tax analyst, Richard Amohene, who's a tax analyst with WTS Nobis Fields as well. But we'll start off with you. With these two, the three tax bills, in fact, there are two of them that you're concerned about. What are those, and how are they going to impact on you? I mean, the food and beverages producers in this country.
Well, let me say that we are not only concerned about the two. In principle, we are against any new tariff or new tax that will be introduced in the country that will affect industry, or as a matter of fact, that will affect the consumer. The growth and sustainability tax, which is 5% tax on profit before tax, is a complete misnomer.
It's a misnomer. What do you mean?
The excise 20% excise duty, excise tax on fruit juices and water, I would say is a misplaced tax. Why do I say this? In general, we acknowledge that the government needs to mobilize revenue. We acknowledge that the government needs to implement additional revenue measures in order to be able to stabilize the economy and secure an IMF deal. But the way forward is not an imposition of any additional tax, because as you yourself in your highlight you noted, we have an avalanche of taxes. And all these taxes are borne by the consumer. All these taxes affect the private sector. All these taxes have one way or the other affecting growth and sustainability or whatever of industry. And if you are looking for increasing your revenue, it is not just for you to pile up taxes. And let me not be political, but the current government indeed said that they want to move this country from taxation to production. And they themselves identified the fact that most taxes were nuisance taxes. And I remember that in the first budget that the Honorable Kenneth Urata read to Parliament when they came into office, he even addressed certain interest groups, i.e. those in Abosokai. ABCD taxes has been abolished. And there was hooray. And we thought that this was going to be sustained. But today, what do we see? We have shifted back to what other previous governments did. There were a lot of taxes that Honorable Setekpe and in the John Mahama's era introduced. And in fact, I led a lot. I led in industry. I led the business sector against most of them, like GCAP and others. So it is not as if we have been targeting one political group. The fact is that you can increase revenue. The target they are looking for, they can indeed mobilize 3 times of that.
3 times of
that? 3
that.
times of that, I assure them, without increasing any 1% tax.
But have you made those proposals or recommendations to government?
Well, let me say, they have come out with bills.
So they expect to raise, and then we'll put it out earlier, if we could go back just a bit, they're projecting to raise some 4 billion.
Some 4 billion.
4 billion cedis. This is the breakdown. The excise duty amendment bill, they're expecting 400 million annually. Growth and stability bill, 2.2 billion. Then the income tax amendment bill, 1.2 billion. You say this 4 billion annually can be raised without necessarily
it can be raised
amending this tax?
They don't need to increase tax by 1%. There's a complete correlation between increase in taxes and tax compliance. They can raise that revenue by reducing the level of corruption in government.
The level of corruption?
The level of corruption in government. The level of pardon of cost on contracts. We are all aware, and we've lived with people in our same community who could not afford ordinary motor vehicles. Today, they are changing every year 4x4 vehicles. Today, most of the people in government have sent their children abroad. They are now attending schools in the US and UK, and they know themselves.
You know that for certain?
I know that for certain, and they know that. So it cannot, they know, they cannot stand before God. I'm a reverend, but they cannot stand before God
You're a reverend minister. That's why I'm saying that.
And deny.
You know.
I know for fact, and you know for fact, and most of us know for fact that most of them have their children now attending abroad. Is it from their salary? We are all very much aware that you can look at
how do you know if they are?
No, wait, let's leave that.
Reverend Awuni.
We know how much money, how much salary each minister takes. We know how much salary an MP takes. Some of the lifestyle that suddenly changes, that we live with them, points to the fact that there is something happening. I have been in development in terms of physical development of properties and all that. You could go look at a property that cost maybe a 2-bedroom house, that you could build it and they will tell you that it is 100,000 cedis worth of property. Government will tell you it is 10,000. If you want to quickly make money in this country, you must go into politics or you become a contractor.
Really?
I have talked with contractors and I have contractor friends who have pointed to me roads. The cost of those roads is 10 times the original cost.
I see.
They can mobilize revenue and by cutting down expenditure.
So essentially what you're saying is that these two, what are the two taxes that you're
We are talking about the 5% profit on tax before profit.
Okay.
Which in fact,
it is just growth and the stability.
Which one? What is the growth and stability? What is growing? What are you growing? And what are you sustaining? You are talking about an economy that has collapsed. You are thinking about reviving the economy. At what point have you revived the economy and now you are talking about even growing? The economy has not been revived. We've said that the economy is collapsed. So you are now trying to resurrect an economy. So have you resurrected it and you are now looking for growth?
So I'll come to the balancing effect as to how you acknowledge that the economy has to be resurrected. How that can be done without any sacrifices from you.
Yes.
You know, but Samson Asaki Awugobet is joining us as well on Zoom. He's Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Earlier, I ran through the list of taxes that the importers and exporters have to pay. Mr. Awugobet, thank you for joining us. So what specific impact will this proposed amendment to the excise tax bill have on you, the importers and exporters?
I'm sure you saw the tax component that I've sent to you concerning the two bills that is before Parliament, that my outfit issue a statement calling on both divide of the House, the New Patriotic Party members of Parliament and the National Democratic, the NDC members of Parliament, that one, this bill is before them. They should not look at it between party politics, but they should do it as a nationalistic, in the sense that current conditions that Ghanaians are going through hard times, prices of goods in our market cannot be whole. Prices of goods in the market, consumers kept on complaining. And who are those consumers? They are Ghanaians. What we are saying is that the two bills before Parliament, our members of Parliament should unite themselves and give a total rejection of this bill. Reasons are that this will help the plight of Ghanaians to be a little bit okay. But if they go ahead to approve this current bill before them, what it means is that the current cost of doing businesses in our market, in the country, will have to go up. We've seen that the government intends to introduce the excisable taxes, which used to be on cigarette and then tobacco products, alcoholic beverages, carbonated drinks. As you speak, fruit juice used not to be part. But this bill that the government is seeking is to include fruit juice. So if you go and buy Don Simon and Multifruta and other things, it's now going to, all these products are all going to be attracted to this current bill if Parliament should go ahead to approve it to be in law. What we are saying is that these current goods prices have already gone up high. For tobacco and cigarette, the World Health Organization is saying 70%. I think current duties, current excisable duties on them or taxes on them is 16% or so.
I see.
Try, you and I would admit that tobacco and cigarette may probably have high health. However, there are also consumers who are also complaining that the cost is high. But of course, if the government wants to go by the WHO, then of course they can go back to amend it and to take off these carbonated drinks, these alcohol beverages that we think that they want to include the fruit juice that you and I can buy for our children when they are going, especially the school going age, when they are going to school. These things can be used in our restaurant and other things. Looking at the prices of it, we cannot afford to increase this again. I think that we've also seen the tax component that is in Ghana here currently. I think I've sent you a message earlier, but let me take you through the current tax component that we are having in the country as we speak to you, as I speak with you now. I think what I sent to you was more technically, but I was able to fishing out some, because you see that customs or GRA for that matter are using tax code. So if you don't know the numbers, you will see the tax code. You can only see the amount of money being paid, but you don't know at what rate. So I have with me is that the taxes that are in the pot currently is that ECOWAS levy is 0.5% on CIF. So I think I've sent you a tax bill where you see LE Toyota Corolla. I think you've seen the amount of duty that the one's supposed to pay.
Indeed.
Look at the rate. It was 10% import duty, the document that you have before you. So that card, after paying 10% import duty, okay, so you have to come and now pay 0.5% TIF value of that car.
I see.
You have to pay AU 0.2% TIF of the AU levy. You have to pay IRS tax.
In fact, we have the list of the taxes. So yeah, we put it out earlier, and as we go on, we'll keep putting it on. But so let the viewers understand this. Essentially, what you're saying is that if these amended tax bills are approved by Parliament, it's going to lead to an increase in the cost of doing business. And you, as importers and exporters, will pass on this increase in the cost of doing business to us, the consumers, who don't even have more money to pay for what you are selling.
Absolutely. Okay, that is exactly what is going to happen. And I was just trying to mention the tax component that Ghanaian importers are going through in this country. In fact, I guess this is even that when you draw my attention about, you wanted to know the kind of taxes that you pay. That put more fears into me, very down to my spinal cord, in the sense that when I look at the kind of percentages, at some point you could realize that these taxes you are taxing. How many times would you want to tax somebody? You look at the tax bill I sent to you. You talk after health insurance. You come back and say interest on health insurance, network services. So many charges that is bombarded with one person, one commodity. You come to the market, this get fund, this health insurance, this COVID-19 levy are all being charged again. After you pay so much at the port, you come to the, and then if I'm giving to you Ocansey as a wholesale, then another person is coming to buy from you to be a distributor or a retailer, then you also have to charge that person before it gets to the final consumer. That is how many Ghanaians are now complaining about the highly cost of doing businesses in the country. And so if we should sit aloof, in fact, previously, what we normally do in my existence as the advocate in 2014 till date, we normally waited till the Parliament approved these laws, and when the implementers are now ready to implement, then they say we should come for an engagement. Then at that time, when we are raising red flags, it has become law again. For now, we are saying that we are appealing to members of Parliament. They should have fear of God and look into the eyes of their constituents. Many of our MPs, if they go to their constituents, they can't even stay for 2 weeks in their own home, because constituents always want to bombard them, rush to them to seek for favor, to seek for support, financial support. Things are not good. Manufacturers in this country, you are saying that you will tax them 5% profit before tax. After 5%, if this bill should go through, this income amendment bill, if it should go through, government is intended to tax these business people 5% before they will go back and tax you income taxes again. What it means is that you want to close down, you want to cripple businesses, and businesses are already sophisticated. With all these taxes that I've just enumerated to you, it's not easy. Remember the 2023 tax budget that saw the introduction of the 2.5% VAT.
Yes.
Is now making importers paying 50% VAT plus 2.5 get fund plus 2.5 health insurance plus 1% COVID-19 levy and financial recovery levies. The levies are countless.
In fact, we ran through all the levies and we counted a number of them. Reverend Awuni, so this we understand is one of the preconditions that government has to meet for an IMF program. And you say that the balancing act or the effect is that is going to lead to you going out of business, the loss of jobs, and then also we consumers will have to then brace ourselves to pay more. So then what is the alternative? What should government be looking at so that, yes, we'll fulfill the IMF conditionalities without necessarily burdening the people?
Number one, the government must cut down expenditure. You cannot continue to, you don't spend what you don't have. Number two, the government must cut drastically, and I mean drastically, the level of corruption in the country. And I don't, if I say government, I'm not saying, I don't refer it to this particular government, but they are the government of the day.
Indeed.
They must make sure that they indeed cut down corruption. That people don't find riches in the name of entering into politics. Number three, they should ensure that they enroll more people into the tax net. There are too many people out of the tax bracket. Daily, I go out and I buy things. When you go into, and this morning I was speaking on CTFM and I made an example that you go into KFC, or for instance, you go and buy, let me not mention a brand here, sorry. So you go buy a bottle of water, so to say. And then the bottle of water is 5 cedis. In a restaurant, they will print out a receipt to you, which will include all those, I don't want to repeat all those taxes, but you know, it will include the 15% VAT.
Yeah, we
it will give you all that and all that. But go into a shop in Medina or a plumbing shop and buy 30,000 Ghana cedis worth of plumbing items. You may be lucky for them to even give you a receipt. If you do ask them for even just a normal receipt, they tell you if you don't want to buy, you go. You are a too known person.
Not even talk about the VAT.
Not even to talk about VAT. The tax people themselves go into those shops and then they buy. So, and there are too many. You can't go into Medina market and buy and get receipts. Every day, I send my driver into the market to buy things. He comes back. You can't claim any VAT receipt. You can't even claim a normal receipt. Go into Makola market, go into Agbogbo, go into all the markets you can talk about across the country. Buy goods worth 10,000 or 20,000 cedis. Nobody will give you a receipt.
So a lot more
but
work
when
must be
you
done
go
in identifying the taxable population.
It is just too easy for you to identify.
Okay.
So, but if we continue to look at this idea of increasing in taxes, I can assure you that they can increase taxes by 100%. The money we need will still not be sufficient for us if we don't cut down our expenses. We don't cut down expenses, we don't refine our expenses, and we do not cut down corruption. A phone, if I go and buy maybe this phone is 1,000 cedis, a government person will go and buy it at 10,000 cedis. Laptop that is maybe 2,000 cedis, they will present it as 10,000 cedis. Everybody or anybody that you deal with in government, and I don't mean that, look, when we talk about government, let us not refer it only to the politicians. The culprits are even more the civil servants. There is no file you can move in any of the public sectors without paying money.
I see.
This is the level of corruption, and the government must understand that the more they increase these taxes, the more they are also increasing corruption. There's a complete positive correlation between taxation, higher taxes and evasion of taxes and corruption as well.
I want to appreciate your time, but let me bring in Richard Amohene, who's a tax analyst as well. I want to thank you so much for the patience staying with us. So let's look at the balancing effect here. Now, government has to fulfill this IMF precondition, but then also is going to impact on consumers and indeed businesses, as all my guests have been outlining. So where should the balancing effect be? What should be the focus of government so as not to burden all of us in the process of recovery?
To the background of this, apart from the IMF consideration, is also government targets to be able to raise revenue, tax revenue within the year 2023. Government wants to raise up to 20% of tax to GDP. So government is looking at around 172 billion, analytically, 172 billion Ghana cedis to raise within the year 2022. That's about 53% increase of the previous, or up to 100% of the last year target which they achieved. So government intends to increase the rate for the various tax handles. One way to achieve it to increase the rate for the various tax handles. But this is also coming at the cost of to the individuals. The one key reason is this. The intention is government is unable to raise more revenue from a lot of people, a lot of the masses. So what government has to do is to increase the rate so that the few that pays will pay more. So a good balance would have been to, one, bring the rates down, think through this strategy. Is it a higher rate that give you the percent, or that give you the higher revenue that you intend to achieve? Or is it a lower rate, but a maximum participation by the citizen or by the taxpayers that will enable you achieve? And my thinking is a good balance would have been a lower rate, but make your tax handles very efficient to be able to generate enough revenue, because in the system, there are a lot of leakages. The own report of GRA, own report of other researchers that shows that government is able to achieve quite less of the capacity, ability to raise tax revenue in Ghana. If you check the tax justice last year reported that about 68% of companies for the past 3 years not been audited. Okay, and if you check other McKinsey reports, also shows that about 24 to 30 billion Ghana cedis in PIT are not being assessed by government. The Minister of Finance last year, that's 2020, even mentioned 2022 mentioned that only 2.3 billion Ghanaians are paying PAYE. Meanwhile, if you check the SNET, in 2020 there was about 1.6 million Ghanaians registered on, whilst we had about 2.3, we had about 1.2 who are paying PAYE. It means that there is a significant number of people who could have paid the taxes, but the system is not able to reach them. So a very good balance, make it efficient, bring the rates down, think through to be able to bring the rates down, and let the citizens, the taxpayers have that kind of comfort that I am going to pay my taxes. It's not too much of a burden to me that I'm going to pay. And another good balance is also that when the taxpayers are also able to be a bit more voluntary and have a kind of feeling that my taxes are being used for what is supposed to be used. There have been a lot of suggestions to government that let the citizens know what you are using their taxes for. Others have suggested that even name tag a lot of government projects that you are undertaking, so that the people will know that this amount of money I paid, this is what is being used for. And these are some of the balances that the government can
appreciate it.
Mr.
Richard Amo Ahene, thank you so much, tax analyst with WTS Noblesfield. So essentially, Mr. Reverend Awuni, you don't want Parliament to consider MPs should reject this. It shouldn't be approved tomorrow.
Well, we petitioned Parliament, we petitioned the Speaker of Parliament, and we petitioned the Finance Committee, we petitioned the Trade Committee in Parliament. Okay. And the fact is that we were not consulted. You can't come out with such bills and seek to pass when people were not consulted. Who did they consult?
Reverend John Awuni, Chairman of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana, appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. This is Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
At long last, Blue Jays Vodka makes a bar market. Blue Jays Vodka makes Numbi a fine.
Look, the guys are chilling with Blue Jays Vodka mix.
Wow! Numbi a tasty.
Can we join you guys? We are all single. Yeah. I'm fun.
Blue Jays Vodka mix, and we are there, and we are ham. Feeling room. Enjoy the unique taste of Blue Jays Vodka mix. Blue Jays Vodka mix, Numbi a fine.
Blue Jays Vodka mix. Blue Jays Vodka mix.
Numuni nyansem, one ton money pa one in fear don't watch it. And says happen for no.
Well, welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Well, Ghana claimed a 1-0 win over Angola in the Group E match at the Babaya Stadium earlier today. That narrow victory saw the Black Stars open a 3-point lead at the top of the group standings, while the Palancas Negras are placed third on the table with some 3 matches to go. Now, Chris Hughton's managerial debut for Ghana ended in a victory, albeit narrow, as this Antoine Semenyo goal secured a 1-0 win over Angola. And that's the celebration that you see on the screen there. Look, it's a Baba Yara Stadium that was packed, filled to capacity. And Sadiq Adams, to call him Sports Obama, he's joining us on Zoom right now. Sadiq, thank you so much for staying up to always be with us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, first off, I mean, this was a crappy and quite slow-paced arrival of the Black Stars to the kind of love that we saw with the people who turned up to support them, is it not?
Exactly. People expected, I mean, a very exciting display, a thumping win, I mean, a complete performance. That's not what they saw. But it was crappy, like you mentioned, a drab of a performance. But ultimately, you need the 3 points, and they got it at a very, tail end of the game. That's all what's it's important. And we have to also give the benefit of doubt to the coach. This is the first game, and you would want to assume that the players are still adapting to his style of play and philosophy. And most of the players have not even played on our kind of grass before. The pitch looked very bumpy and undulating, and contributed to making the game less attractive like it should be. But generally, you want a win, and you've got the 3 points.
Well, beyond the 3 points, and I'm sure the likes of you, your lenses will look beyond this one goal. What are some of the concerns you have about the game itself today?
Well, I will look at the prospects. I see that Chris Hughton is trying to be his own man and trying to repose faith in many of the young players in the team. Looking at the time that he took some of them off around the 80th minute, judging by the fact that these are the players that he's going to build his team around. Talk about Kudus, Kamal Dean, and all that, and even the introduction of the young guys again from the bench. That's what I just want to pinpoint, or I pinpointed from the game, that he's trying to rebuild a new team with his own identity and philosophy. It was difficult for the players to catch it from the beginning of the game. And also, we must not lose sight of the fact that the Angolans came in trying to play a low block and defend with their lives. And so they got very few opportunities. And the Black Stars kept on trying the same means to penetrate their defense. And it was difficult, but you could see that this is the pattern that Chris Hughton would want to play. The challenges are there as to whether the players can adapt as soon as possible. But you can see that Thomas Partey has been freed. If you check the statistics, he was the second best player behind Kudus. But generally, from the display, this is one of his best performances in the Black Stars team. As a continuity player, his passes were spot on. He created the opportunities, tackled very well, and led the team, and his composure too. And so you could see that Chris Hughton is trying to make our best players have their best of days. Mm-hmm. It's not up there yet. This is just like a 55% output. But like I said, it's only his first game, and he's become the third coach of the Black Stars to win their games on the debut. It's not been easy, especially under this kind of pressure and the tension in the game, and the opponents trying to play in this setup, not allowing your wingers to run and crowding the goal area on all occasions. But I think we got the goal. It would have been very disappointing to end the game without the Black Stars scoring. But the positive vibe I pick from this is that the Black Stars did not concede. One of the few times that Atizigi has played for the Black Stars in a competitive game without conceding.
I mean, if the Angolans took their chances, maybe the story would have been different, is it not?
He didn't. that's
a good luck charm for us somehow, you know, because it was very nervy in some of the occasions when they got close to our goal. And let's face it, the defense at the point also were found wanting. I mean,
what was shaky. And I understand because Hilton would want to build his team around his style of play. Would want to play Salisu Mohammed and either Amate or Jiku, like we did in the World Cup. One of them very calm and progressive. And Tariq Lamptey, if he was there, would have started at right back because of his speed. And we know how Chris Hilton set up his team. So the defense was not, that's top notch. Wasn't the type of defensive framework that Chris Hilton set. He's a coach who likes to build his team around the defense, but this wasn't that perfect. Well, but they didn't concede anyway, even though you might want to play it around luck, but they didn't concede. And going forward, I'm sure that there are a lot of things that Chris Hilton is going to sharpen, especially his defense. The fullbacks, Gideon Mensah was not on top of his game today, but that doesn't mean that the whole team even had their best of days. We just needed to see how the coach wants to set up his team, a new philosophy, a new identity, a new coach. It wouldn't be easy to start, especially at home. I want to see a different Black Stars team in Luanda because that's where you can really assess them with Angolans playing and wanting to be offensive. And this time the Black Stars can open up. There are two key things that prevented the team from putting up a good display. One, the pitch. The players have complained. You could see it was bumpy. And two, the Angolans set up in a manner that made it very difficult for them to play. Even though it was a very scrappy display, I would want to give them 1, 2, 3 games to see how they adapt quickly to Chris Hilton's new identity.
And Sadiq, finally, maybe in 30 seconds, you saw the crowd there. I mean, Baba Yara filled to capacity. Is the love back fully after that World Cup, showcase?
Yeah. I'm sure if you followed your Black Stars, you will know that Kumasi, like I said, Kumasi it's the cathedral of Ghana football. They always come in for the Black Stars. And once the Black Stars turn up in Kumasi, it's always like since the Gold Coast 11 up till now. It's a center where they love their game. You just need to call them and convince them. Basically, all the Black Stars games, the last time in March 2022, we played Nigeria.
Right.
And this one, they are always coming to support the Black Stars.
Sadiq, thank you so much. So always. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Sadiq Adams is a sports journalist, call him Sports Obama. But before we go, the Speaker of Parliament has postponed putting the question on the approval of the President's nominees to tomorrow, Friday, March 24. The decision of the Speaker has been born out of an over 3-hour suspension of the House earlier today, which the Speaker was not informed. Take a look.
Debate, but take the decision tomorrow. Now, I heard no from both sides of the House. Now, I want to understand the meaning of no from my right. Then I want to understand the meaning of no from my left.
We will debate, conclude the debate, and vote on the subject matter duly.
31 minutes past 7 p.m. The no on this side means that, Mr. Speaker, this issue, we have already tabled the motion and seconded it. The no on this side is that we take an adjournment till tomorrow.
Proceed to debate the motion, but we will take the decision tomorrow.
I had the opportunity to listen to the nominees. I've had the opportunity to read the 63-page report ably presented by the first Deputy Speaker. And I believe all the nominees are colleagues. We know them. We know their competence. They earn their salaries as members of Parliament, and I believe they can serve this country well. And I ask the House to approve of them to serve this country of us. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
As we speak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Finance Minister of our country, is gone to China, begging. He is begging for debt restructure. Our President, only a few days ago in the message on the State of the Nation, was reporting to us how the begging with the Paris Club, begging with China, how it appears to be going well, and that he is quite hopeful that by end of this month, March, we will secure a $3 billion bailout from the IMF, even though, by all indication, that won't happen. We are not even featuring on the IMF Executive Board calendar. Yes, we know times are tough, times are hard, but leadership should lead by example, Mr. Speaker. This is not the time to do yenti obia, muka krana mi yen more. We stand with the people of Ghana, and we are.
And stay with us. Tomorrow we will be in Parliament. My colleague Kamala Kluche, our Chief Parliamentary Correspondent, will bring you some more details as to how the day ends tomorrow. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, I appreciate your company. As always, join us same time tomorrow. I'm clothed tonight by Primaps Clothing. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sassani, airport in my eye, Mojana, Nanum Shegu, near the two of my eye. Hustle every day, and we dey make them judge. See, love's a beautiful thing, oh I know. And I have been searching a long time for my own. Then one beautiful day I met her, Nana. She gave me a name, Nalamiaka. Hello baby girl, can I get your number? Call me second L, and I like your fire. She said sorry, but I'm not here alone. I said no worries, I just wanna be your friend. She said give me your number, and we'll see later. I know the shake, I go wait, I go there till the lady calls. Take a hero, put me for trouble. Shabo, shabo, match your trouble. Love is worth it, and I will fight it. Sacrifice it, all for the turkey hero. So turkey hero, put me for trouble. Shabo, shabo, match your trouble. After days of chats and calls, she got me hooked on. All the name on the page and the face on every platform. Then we chose a date and a place to meet up. Even before it was time, I was already seated, waiting for me, door. Nalamiaka. I will have felt me small and get me mebo. And then she showed up with a man, no Mr. Macho. Waiting up on my brother, no feet talk. Oh. I the shake, I the fear, I the cry, but I no feet run. Oh. I'm in love, but this price, my brother's too high. Oh. Turkey hero, put me for trouble. Shabo, shabo, macho trouble. Love is worthy, and I will fight it, sacrifice it for the turkey hero, put me for trouble. Shabo, shabo, macho trouble. See, there is a reason I could drive one crazy, make you go all in, bet all you've got in life and even more. And when you find it, you've gotta fight for it, sacrifice what it takes to keep that feeling on. And it makes you sing each day. Perero, perero, perere, perere. Well, that's how Cupid got me with the bow and the arrow. Guess who's on the mix? Harry on the mix.
This program is rated PG. It contains scenes of brief nudity, mild violence, and strong language. Parental guidance is advised.